We're ready.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the February 29th meeting of the Allegheny Board of Property Assessment Appeals and Review. We call this meeting to order. May we please have roll call, Ms. Young?
Yes. Mr. Ferguson.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Montgomery. Here. Mr. Sewell.
Here.
Ms. Thornton Lara. Here. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Next in order, we need to approve the regular meeting minutes, February 15th, 2024. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes February 15th.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. And public comment. Do we have anybody? We see a hand raised. Who could it be?
I'll start my 3-minute time.
Mr. Sylvester.
Make him stand under the mic.
I'm here and I just learned of this either yesterday or the day before for tax parcel 214C 158. And I'll hand the sheets that I have either to you or whoever you direct. But we got a 2023 decision, and what I have here is a verification of the filed appeals for both 2022 and 2023. So whoever I should hand this to, I'd like to insert it.
If you would give it to Ms. Piazza.
What's the parcel ID again?
214C 158.
Thank you.
And I'm not going to criticize the board for this because I understand from the prior right to know law request that there are only 2 employees. When I expressed that in an earlier meeting, I was corrected that there was 1 employee. And I'm waiting for a right to know request response to find out who that single employee is of the board. So I can't blame the board for any of this. You don't have any employees to direct. Now, the other one was called to me by Barbara Stern, with whom I work, and these are tax parcels 235R 150 and 235R 151. They're owned by the same owner. Appeals were filed for both of them. They were heard by the same hearing officer. And what Barbara tells me is when she got the reports of the hearing officer, which she gets emailed to her, that these were reviewed by 2 different board members. And I would just point out that, again, you have no employees. This appears to be nonsense that 2 different board members would be assigned something that's heard the same hearing. And again, this is not a criticism of the board. I'm just urging the board to take action to get your own employees. The other thing is, last week, or the last meeting, I took notes on the agenda. The agenda was not posted for the last meeting, either before or after the meeting. Again, this is not your fault. You don't have any employees that have any control over this. I would ask that you do what many other agencies do, which is post minutes and post agenda in an archive. I have 4 seconds left. I just ask in favor of one of the board members. One of the board members abstained from voting on an agenda item because he was related to a nonprofit in the community. If that community is an economically disadvantaged area, I would like that board member to introduce me so that we can file tax appeals. What's happened without a reassessment, and people economically disadvantaged, they're paying twice the taxes that they should, and I would do pro bono. Done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Beth, can you all hear? Can you all hear?
Yes, I can hear, but you have one in the lobby.
Montgomery, the second set of parcels that Mr. Silvestri was speaking about, I believe is the one that you spoke to Barbara Stern about, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that one's already handled. Are you aware of these other three that Mr. Silvestri just brought up?
No, I'm only aware of the 235R, 150, and 151.
Okay. So the 214C 158. Again, Mr. Silvestri, the issue with that one, the first one,
Oh, that's one that I handed over. We filed
okay,
22 and 23 appeals, and we only received a 23 decision.
okay. All right. We'll look into that as well.
Mr. Parsons, can I address
Yeah,
Mr.
go ahead.
Silvestri? Mr. Silvestri, what we're asking people to do in those situations is give us a little bit of time. And if you get the 2022 disposition, like maybe tomorrow or maybe in 2 weeks, let us know and we'll reissue the 23 with a current date. So if you want to take them to viewers, you could take them to viewers together as
Okay.
companions.
No, I'm not in a rush. I'm just looking through the work to get them.
No, and I just wanted to let you, if they were companions and you wanted to
Yeah.
take them over, I just wanted to let you know that. That's what we're doing.
Without having to read through these right now, if any of what he's talking about is on here and we approve this list, we can still pull those particular properties out of this.
Well, I think what Mr. Silvestri is asking for one or 214C is in cat 158 is for just us to issue the 2022 disposition. Is that correct?
Yes, and if it's on the list, you don't need
Would-
Then this is done.
Correct.
Okay, okay, good.
And you don't need to reissue the 2023.
Okay.
If it's on today's list.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in public comments?
Maybe you're still on from the public on the right.
I can't read the list. Everybody else.
Lori Brown, Mary Beth Snyder. There's a guest, Rover. I'm not certain who that one
Wait,
is.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to comment on, ask Mr. Silvestri a
All right,
question.
hold on one second.
On his,
Just 1 second. Who's?
And the last is, yeah, Rover.
Okay, with the name attached to Rover. What does Rover want to speak?
Hello, Mr. Rover or Mr. or Mrs. Rover?
All right.
I'm gonna think if you can't put your name on there, we're not going to allow people to speak.
Great.
And the last one is Jennifer Pusateri.
Jennifer, were you planning to speak? Miss Pusateri, I'm sorry.
No, I don't need to speak today.
All right, thanks.
All right, go ahead, Lou.
yeah, a comment for Mr. Silvestri on the 214C 158.
Okay.
You didn't get the 22 decision? It's at the board of viewers.
It was decided.
I know, but look at our records at the board of viewers. So how would you have had a hearing here for 22 when it was at the board of board of viewers? Shouldn't have been a hearing.
I'd prefer not to spend the time of the board arguing.
Okay.
Let's look into it.
Yeah, it's already been decided that if they were the board of viewers, everyone got a 2022 review.
Did Ms. Pusateri say she wanted to speak or not?
She said no.
No, okay, thank you. All right, moving on to solicitor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I actually did prepare rules and regulations. I sent them out by email. I have them here in hard copy if anybody wants to review them. I don't think you need to pass them today. If you want more time to think about them, I would like to discuss a few issues with you. When you look at them, the major changes were the changes required by the new ordinance. Some of the few changes were some things that this board has discussed. If you're going to take one and pass it down, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Some things that this board is, well, obviously on the first page, I'm just updating the year and the board members. some of it's formatting, so you'll see a lot of formatting change. I made them bigger so they're easier to read. You guys know that I'm complaining about my eyes. We need one more. But when you start, the one thing
Need one
is,
more?
No. They're perfect.
oh, here, I got one more. And I did add, that, and I'm sorry, I should have numbered these
Still need
pages.
one more or more?
No.
Okay.
That's all I got. Well, like I grade Barbara's because Mike.
Oh, I thought you said you had an extra one.
No, that was the one I just.
Oh, okay.
Not extra anymore.
Board members can hear appeals. I added the training. The big change this board has discussed is exemption and abatement appeal hearings. And I know I've expressed that I don't think the solicitor should be the sole person hearing those appeals, and I think this board agrees with that in concept. So I made that change that the board or a member of a board or a committee of the board, a member of the board or a committee of the board can hear exemption appeals. So if there's like 2 of you who want to hear them, or 1 of you who wants to hear them, or however many of you want to hear them, I made that change. And then you can see some of these are, the other question that Mr. Sully raised that he saw that I changed, and it was a change, is whether or not the board wants board members who hear appeals to abstain from voting on the appeals that they hear. My recommendation, and there's no requirement that you do it, is just the appearance of impropriety, that if it's on if the Post-Gazette would get a hold of it, they could make a nice little story about it. And that's just what I would like to see you avoid, but it's completely up to this board what they would like to do.
So you're advising, I'm sorry.
I think as good practice, that if you hear the hearing, you shouldn't vote on the hearing. You should just get a report and hand it to Ms. Baldwin and say, I abstained on any of the hearings that I heard. Here's my list. But that's just my advice. You guys can certainly do what you'd like.
Okay.
Makes sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to me, if I may.
Sure.
I talked to our solicitor about this. The BRT is an appeals board in Philadelphia. There are only 7 members. They hear all appeals. They vote on all appeals. I was on the Board of Property Assessment, Appeals and Review in 1997, 89, 2000. From 1939 until the year 2000, board members voted on their recommendations. I shared with Ms. Shrimp one instance where it was 4-3 against somebody's recommendations. And I don't see a conflict at all. I should be able to vote. I'm voting today I've voted on about 4,000 appeals where I put my signature on as a sign-off. There's no conflict. I don't see a conflict.
Again, I'm talking about the appearance of impropriety, not a direct conflict. So,
I'm saying the appearance is, I'll stand behind what I
and
what
it's
I do.
completely up to the board.
And if the board chooses to do that, we're going down a slippery slope. There's no, I asked you for any case law that would support the conflict.
And I told you it's an appearance issue.
So there's
It's
no
not-
case law?
No, it's
or-
not mandatory.
All right, then if the board does that, I'm gonna have to go back to council to give me the right to vote on hearings. You know, this board tabled my recommendation a month ago for board members to hear appeals. That was political, in my opinion. There was no second, there was nothing. And I am not gonna be the person singled out, and I believe that I will because I want to hear appeals. I am not gonna permit this board, if you vote against a board member voting on his or her own appeal, that is political, in my opinion. There's no good reason for it.
Perhaps I can offer this as a compromise. I have made my recommendation known to the board. You understand where I stand on it and what my opinion is. Board members can recuse or not recuse at their own discretion.
Correct.
And if you would like to do that, you've heard what my
I like
opinion
that.
on it, and you can certainly do that if that's acceptable to you.
Question. What happens if a board member hears an appeal, makes a recommendation, another board member reviews it and disagrees with the recommendation, it doesn't sign off on, or signs off to sustain,
Changes it.
to change it.
But
And then it comes to the board for full approval, because it doesn't go back to the original hearing.
there's something in the rules and regulations about that.
There is, that was in the ordinance from council.
What is
So-
it? What happened?
You want to go over that?
Pretty specific and sticky, but sure. And again, I wish I would have numbered these, I do apologize, that's my fault.
I think it's already in our rules and regs, maybe I'm wrong.
It was not, because then,
Where the whole board listens to the audio.
yeah, it
and then
requires
the
the entire
whole board
board to
votes.
listen to it and review the case. And that's a good summary, Mike, without me actually reading it.
Okay.
I know, Mike. No, but the
I know,
thing
I
is,
just-
if we have 7 members, I just don't want to see
And I understood
3 votes
Mr.
against.
Stoley's vote was he didn't want to see boards ganging up against one board member and then denying that appeal that they
Right.
heard. And I understand that concept too. So perhaps that's a good compromise. I've let the
Thank
board know my position, and then it's up to you what you want to do. So I'll make that little change in the rules. The other thing I would like to talk about while we're talking about the rules, and this isn't in the rules that I'm proposing today, is stipulations. BPAAR used to accept stipulations if the taxing bodies and the owners would sign off on the stipulation, like, okay, we agree that, I bought my house for $500,000. We all know I bought my house for $500,000. The school district's gonna come in and say $500,000. I bought it for $500,000. We'll just sign off and we'll just say we're good. We used to do that. BPAAR used to do that. They did that during the reassessment. The county council at the time told us they didn't want us to do that any longer, so we were not allowed to put that in our rules. And I don't know if this board would consider putting it back in the rules and seeing if county council would have any appetite now to allow us to have stipulations, because it does move cases through the process quicker.
Mhm.
The other thing you would see is in cases where they're big commercial properties, those guys want to go to board of viewers. They don't want to be here. So they would just agree for a no value change to take it to viewers so that they can just move through the process quicker.
You and I discussed this thing. Judge Wade permitted the board to do that.
Correct.
So it's not like the first time we've ever done this. Okay? And if a judge signed off on it, either it's under our rules, the 30-day rule of council, if council doesn't do anything, then we would treat everyone the same, correct?
Correct.
Every property owner, every school, municipality school.
So what are we saying to do different? That we're not doing? I'm sorry.
And so now they actually have to come into an appeal hearing. And then that gets processed through to the board. What we would allow them to do is to sign basically a stipulation that says everybody agrees and everybody signs off, and then that immediately comes to the board.
So no 3 comps because we're saying.
Right, you're
we're
here to
saying-
save everyone that time and that effort, because everybody would agree. It would be a settlement, basically. So if the board's okay with that, I can add that language and just share it with you before we put it in the rules.
Yeah, I think that would be a very good idea.
Great. So I would ask for a request to approve the rules with the one change that I noted, or the 2 changes that we noted here.
So moved. And if Barbara, did Barbara write them down, or did you?
I got it,
What you said is verbatim.
yes.
I'm okay with that. So moved. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Now let's move.
Okay, thank you.
One last question.
Sure.
Is this all on the website? Are we changing the website today, or is that coming up?
Well, we will approve these rules, we approve these rules today. We will transmit them to county council tomorrow. And then they have 30 days to vote them up or vote them down. If they do nothing, they become our rules. If they vote them up, they become our rules. If they vote them down, we go back to the drawing board. And then they will go up as our official rules.
What we just approved was just your amendment. We still now have to do the actual rules.
No, we just did.
Yeah, we
We're
did.
done, okay, that's
Yep.
everything, okay.
We're good. So, thank you. Appreciate it. And the next issue is a request for an appeal non-protunct, which is, if anyone doesn't know what a non-protunct is, it means out of time. It means they were late. They're asking for a late filed appeal. And we do have a process for that. And in this case, the owner spoke with me. It was DJ Nichols is the property owner, and it has to do with a partial exemption on a property. So the taxpayer purchased the property in 2021, and it was previously owned by a church, and it had a partial exemption. It was 90% exempt, 10% taxable. In 2023, the owner received the tax bill for 2022 on the full value of the property, and the full value was $557,000. They got confused because the county website at the time was only reflecting a value of $55,700, which was the 10% taxable. So the school district filed an appeal, and then the school district withdrew that appeal. And now the owner has finally figured out that the issue was the 10%, 100% taxable. They have filed a tax appeal for 2024, and they're actually asking to file a nunc-pro-tunc appeal for 2022 and 2023.
Quick question. Did OPA issue that? Was there a change
So
in the
when a property,
taxable? Yeah, when the property is transferred, it goes taxable,
it goes taxable,
100%.
correct. But there is no notice that goes out when a property goes taxable.
So you're saying that the website made the mistake?
It was an administrative error based on the website.
Okay.
Because there was no way to know that the property went from taxable or 10%. They thought they knew it was going to go taxable, but they thought it was going to be taxed at 55.7, and it was at 557,000.
Okay.
They didn't get a notice. Yes, they do not send a notice when it transfers from exempt to taxable.
You get a tax bill.
You get a tax bill. But I actually had that conversation with Mr. Nichols, and I said, come on, your owner knows that he wasn't tax exempt because he's not church. He's actually a developer. So he knows he has to pay taxes, and he said he knew he had to pay taxes, but he thought he only had to pay taxes on 55.7 instead of 557,000.
Because of our administrative breakdown.
Yes.
That's my opinion. It was an administrative breakdown. So I would ask for an appeal to grant, I would ask for a motion to grant that appeal nunc-pro-tunc for parcel 167, L is in Lima. I did it right this time.
You did.
195, tiebreaker 1.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
And then lastly, the last thing I have on my agenda is the board is going to need to sit down and discuss how we want to do the training that's required by the county council ordinance. How we want to set it up for hearing officers and things. And I don't think we need to do that today, but I think in the future we need to do that pretty quick.
Do we want to do that as a separate meeting, or do we want to do that in an executive session?
I don't even think it needs to be executive, but I think everybody needs to start thinking about it, maybe
Okay.
doing some brainstorming.
Does it have to be a public meeting?
No, this is logistical. This just be discussion. I just want you to start thinking about how do we get our hearing officers trained? Like, well, how do we want to do that? How do you envision seeing that
I
happen?
have some ideas, but I'm not going to show them today.
So yeah, I
We
think,
can do this.
yeah, I think that's what we need to do. So just, I wanted to put it on your plates to start to think about.
And I sent the board members the link again.
Thank you. And then after this meeting, I would ask for an executive session to discuss personnel matters.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And from the appeals department, Ms. Brown?
Good morning. So you should have received the appeals report, the status report for tax years 2020 through 2024. We are continuing to move along with getting, of course, the dispositions out, but getting additional hearings scheduled in the month of March. We also have on a daily basis been receiving the appeal applications for tax year 2024. It is still a little bit less than what we would normally have at this time for each tax year previously, but again, they are continuing to come in, and we're going to move forward with getting them entered and getting them eventually scheduled.
Okay.
Yep.
Lost our screen here.
I'm sorry?
I asked Barbara to put something up to share with Lori and the board. And if you recall, in December 19, well, 4 or 5 meetings in a row, I kept asking Lori Brown how many need to be completed and it was very difficult just to get an answer. On December 19th, Ms. Brown, and again, you were quoted in the paper, I came up with a number trying to interpret these reports. And I want to thank Amy Shrimp. We've been talking about this week to maybe simplify it on our end. But Barbara, if you found it.
I did. I didn't find it in time to share.
While she's doing that, if we vote on these recommendations today, how many appeals will we have certified in 2024? Just ballpark.
I mean, for 2023?
No,
Or
certified at a public meeting in 2024, where dispositions go out in 2024 for all those years. And what I'm saying is, and again, I don't know if Barbara could pull it up, is we have about 800 after today that we have certified after January 1. There was a debate in December where I was told there were only 4,000 left, and I projected 9,000. Barbara, if you can't get it, it's all right.
Yeah, it's here.
There it
Right
is.
here, yeah.
There it is. This is just my math. I take with Terry and the new guy, what's the new guy's name?
Nathan. Nathan?
Nathan, yeah, Nathan, okay. There was a dispute and everyone in the room said I was wrong about the 9,000 remaining. If you scroll down, February 28th, today, approximately, I didn't take the 2021s, whoops, 2,100, 16, third, and that's our production year to date in 2024. So we have 9,000, and this is just simple. All I did was write it down and boom. So I hope that we can go, all of us, the appeals division and BPAAR, that we can all be on the same page about the numbers, because it was me against everyone when I said there were 9,000 left, and everyone in the room, either by their silence or what they commented, said I was wrong. And my only point is, it's just math. 2 and 2 will always be 4. And these reports are convoluted, confusing. And I talked to Amy in the last few days about we can simplify them so we can just look at some numbers and say, yeah, that's where we are. And I guess at this point, Ms. Brown, all I want to know is how many are left to be completed? 1,000, 2,000? That's my question.
And again, I think I stated several times ago that we've been working with BPAAR to do some cleanups to make sure that the numbers of hearings that have been heard are actually coded correctly. We have been back and forth working with the administrator to try to get that number finalized. I have not been told that this is completed yet. So again, I
Ms.
cannot,
Brown,
yes.
excuse me, don't mean to interrupt, but I can't hear you. I assume some of the others cannot. Can you either speak louder or?
Okay, is this any better?
Volume,
Is this any better?
not really, slightly.
How about now?
Slightly.
Can you turn it?
I turned it up, Max. Say something, Lori?
Hello?
Much better.
There you go.
Okay. So what I was saying is that we have been working, OPA and BPAR have been working together to try to get the hearings that have been heard that we have seen hearing notes indicating that they have been heard. The status changed from OO to O2A so that we would have a more accurate number of how many hearings we have to have completed. Now, quite a few of them have been cleared up and we are moving forward with that, but there are still hearings that are outstanding and I'm waiting to hear back from BPAR on if everything has been completed, and then we would better know exactly how many hearings we still have to hear. And that is not necessarily what BPAR has to review, because there is a difference.
So
Okay.
what you're saying is, we've said we're gonna be finished on this day. How do we know what we're gonna finish if we don't know what we have to finish?
You're
Tomorrow's
exactly right. You're exactly right. But again, OPA cannot give you a hard number until we know what is still really left to review after the cleanup.
You haven't given us a hard number since.
Actually,
Is
because we
done.
have not gotten the actual cleanup completed. And again, BPAR and OPA are working together to get this rectified.
So anyone to hear today, we should be finished by the end of March. Yes?
That is the goal.
Okay. All right, I'm finished, thank you.
All right. Anything else from Ms. Brown?
No, that's all I have.
Thank you very much. EPA, Ms. Brooks. She's not on the call? Okay. Items for consideration from our board administrator, Ms. Baldwin.
Okay, I have some rescind and reissues and rescind and rehears. I'll take the first one on the agenda here, rescind and reissue parcels 613H393 and 798C210. These were brought to BPAR's attention by OPA. This was post the case file review process. 798C21 had a 2022 Y and a 2023 hearing on 12/19/2023. The hearing officer assigned a building value to the 2022 when it should have been land only, with a starting value of $6,300. And I guess we could take these in one action. I can move on to the other as well,
Okay.
unless you guys have any
They're all
questions.
going to be rescind rehear.
Yes. Parcel ID 613H393 was a data entry error during the case file review process. The case reviewer did catch the error. However, she failed to change the value in the hearing values tab. The error was made on the building value, and the incorrect amount was $2,907,700, and the corrected amount should be $290,700. So that's the correct amount. So just requesting the board to resend and reissue with corrected values.
All right. We're stopping with B then?
Yes, for right now, because this was one set of resend and reissues. So those two, for right now, I'm looking to see if the board would make.
All right, I have a motion.
Motion to rescind and reissue parcel IDs 613H393 and 798C21.
And we're also doing B as well.
Yes.
So we're.
No,
adding-
we're just at A right now. I
I'm sorry,
apologize. We're
just
just at A, yes.
All right.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved, go ahead.
So the second has two rehears, or two rescinds and rehear, and just one rehear. These are all for Attorney Greg Bernanke. He was in communication with Dave Montgomery in November of 2023. Mr. Bernanke entered his appearance for the property owners of these parcels. However, he was not called for any of the hearings. The board previously granted parcel 247J2 a rehear. However, the file went to O4A and it was disposed out on January 18th, 2024. And for 98R 313, it was a school district appeal heard on August 16th of 2023. He was not called for that hearing as well, and he reached out to Mr. Montgomery for a rehear. The request was to be placed on the board's agenda in November. However, there's no record that Mr. Montgomery submitted that on the solicitor report before the board. And the file has since been processed to 04A and disposed out on February 1st of 2024. And the last one is just a rehear, because it was just heard in January of this year, January 11th of 2024. He was not called on behalf of his client, and he is looking for the board to rehear that one. So we have 2 rescinds and rehear and just 1 rehear.
Okay, and the last one was the 247J2.
Yes, 247J2 and 98R313 are both rescinds and rehears.
And may I have a motion, please?
This is B, correct?
Yes.
And then I will move that we rehear and rescind the following parcels: 953-S 326, second parcel 98R313, and third parcel 247J2. So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Now
We're on to C, and this one is for Miss Amber Vauchal. She recently, she recently reached out to OPA regarding a notice of assessment change. Ms. Vauchal stated that she wasn't aware of the assessment change until she received a tax bill notice in the mail. She claimed she never received the letter that OPA sent out, and if she had, she would have completed the special appeal application form. So her time expired on the special appeal form. You only have 30 days from the date of the notice that you received to file the special appeal form. It expired November 4th. She received a notice in October. That's around October 5th. November 4th was the deadline. But she only became aware of the assessment change when she received the tax bill in the mail. And so that's how she received the letters. She is definitely looking to get an approval.
So this is a non-proton request, very similar to the one that was on my report. I guess I have a lot of questions because it has to be administrative breakdown on behalf of the governmental agency. So if we didn't mail her a change order or change notice, then she would be able to get this kind of relief.
Oh, we say we did, we have proof that we did.
Yes. Well, she got the letters from Mr. Howard Cohen, and she sent them to me. So she did, according to OPA, she did receive, a notice that did go out.
And just so this board's aware, non-proton is an incredibly extraordinary relief. So you do have to be very specific. It's unavailability, extraordinary circumstances. Like I was on my way to file it and I got in a car accident. Unavailability, I'm out of the country, I'm in the hospital, in jail, I've seen it granted for that. Seriously, this is nice, I have seen it granted for that. And obviously administrative breakdown, but the administrative breakdown has to be on behalf of the government agency. Your own administrative breakdown doesn't count.
So far, Barbara, it was mailed to the same address as 32 or Union Avenue?
Yes,
So that was the mailing address that this person lives at?
yes. She did submit the form, but it was too late. I would let her know that. Okay.
Well, that means she received it.
No.
Oh, the tax bill.
Right. Tax bill.
Was the address the same?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there is that assumption
Yeah,
that
it was.
maybe you just didn't know what the mail was, but you did get it, so. It's up to the board, but it is a very strict standard, just to keep the board in mind.
All right, does anybody wish to make a motion? And we'll move on.
Would you want to make a motion to deny it, and then she would have the right to appeal it if she would
Okay.
like?
I knew that we denied the request.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And any opposed? All right, so we will deny the request.
And so the last two are kind of the same, but they're two different property owners, D&E. They're looking to get a disposition with current date for parcel ID 479L36 and parcel ID 980M270. The circumstances wasn't much different than that. They did not receive notice of these, of the disposition notices.
And again, was there any kind of failure on our part to send them out?
Not confused, they're just waiting their decision?
They already had, they came out, but they didn't receive the notice in the mail.
Was it sent to the mailing address, the official mailing address that we have on file?
That I do not know, but I would have
That's
to
what we
check with
did.
that, yep, that's what we did. But,
The distinction between this and the other one is reissuing a disposition with a current date is not any allocation of funds. You're just issuing a new letter to give them the appeal right. Compared to a late filed appeal, you are actually gonna have to have a hearing and you are expending funds. It's always been a distinction that can be drawn.
I'll suggest I move to approve these two requests. That all we're doing is changing the date. There's no exchange of monies, like you said,
Correct.
which is a very good point.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Right,
and that's it for me, thank you.
the issue. Thank you. Moving on to the board approval list. We have a lot here. First one, starting with walking lot number 457, default 25. And the other one is 22C 172. A second list, starting with block and lot number 268L 222 and ending 888 7R 15. Next list beginning with block and lot 2J 300. Let's see a longer list.
Yes, the last one has like 20 pages.
Thank you.
They-
Ending with block and lot number 85G 900. Next list beginning with block and lot 182R 125. And this one also a longer one. And the last one, ending in 632R96. Going down the list, any polls or recusals, Mr. Snipe,
None for me.
Miss Montgomery,
None for me.
Miss Peonza?
No.
Mr. Shuley?
All I'll say is, when I review a hearing officer recommendation, I will write recuse on there. If any of those are in this file, I'll recuse myself on anything that I did in the public record, but other than that, I have none.
And Miss Laura?
None.
And I have none. Have a motion, please.
Motion to approve the list as read into the record.
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Approved. The list that's right into the record. Moving on, any old business? We have on the list. Oh, thank you. Couldn't hear your finger.
I have a follow-up to Mr. Sewell's request about access to
Tyler?
board viewer stipulation records.
Oh.
you asked last time, OPA does not have access, or does not have a list of any kind in that matter. We get a record from court, post it in IAS, and
You
then,
get the paper?
yeah, well, yeah, it comes electronically. And then it's gone. I mean, it goes. We don't, it's not entered in as a such, so that it can be retrieved in any way. So I have the website, which can be accessed by anybody in the public, and I forward it to Wade and Amy.
I appreciate that.
So you can access, anybody can access that with the specific information that you're looking for. I don't think you can request a blanket list of things. I don't think they have that capability. We don't.
So when I worked there, it was just all paper. The solicitor would run over here and give the papers too.
Well, it's electronic now.
Yeah, but you said it,
We post it into our system. We get it from the court system electronically,
okay?
and we post it into that specific property, and then it's gone.
Okay.
Thank you. Tyler Technologies, Mr. Schooley, did you want to?
Yes, again, I was hoping Ms. Brooks would be here because she said she will notify you when there's any progress. And I'm just asking our chief assessor, are you in the loop on this with this CLR application and creating a field in IAS World?
We had like 2 conversations this week,
Good.
and not with Tyler, but
Okay.
they requested that specifically. Tyler hasn't gotten back to them yet. And I had 2 meetings already this week about that topic,
Very good.
one with Ms. Brooks and one with the higher administration.
Good.
To see what progress can be made, because there's,
I know.
other things we'd like to see changed, but
Yeah.
or improved, I should say.
Yeah, but that's only important because we do it manually. And then the last issue, I found out from Barbara Baldwin, there was a letter that Solicitor Montgomery sent out to the hearing officers about the ex parte communications.
I was not forwarded that or made aware.
Okay, remember I had mentioned maybe if I get a copy of his letter, or we could just resend it, recycle it, just to remind them not to,
In a follow-up to that, Mr. Fargestein and I looked at some files last week, and I was getting a handle on what exactly they were doing, because it's easier to say, hey, this is what you're doing, stop doing that. So then using the word ex parte, because they might be like, I don't know what you're doing.
See, I would just say, don't talk to assessors after the hearing. Period. Right?
But then they'll be, I'm not talking to you in the hallway.
No, about
No,
cases.
I understand. I was looking to get a good handle on it before I drafted it.
I'm
But if,
sure you'll agree, it would be so much better if the assessors were at the hearings, giving testimony.
and they
There's a
can't
building
get
on
them.
the lot.
They can
There
get them. They're just not going and getting them.
Right.
They're available for that resource for our hearing officers, and for some reason, our hearing officers are not availing themselves of that resource. Which is a problem, because they're here, and they're here for them to use.
They're right down the hall.
So is case file reviewer supposed to go to assessors after board members have signed off on files?
It depends. I mean, that's dependable issue. I mean, if it's and I don't want to, I'm sorry, I don't want to get into this kind of detail in a public meeting, because this is more personnel related and
We can discuss
quasi,
that later.
and quasi judicial. Thank you.
We postpone it for executive session?
We can talk about that in executive session,
Sure.
because it's quasi judicial deliberations.
Yes.
Are we requesting one at this time?
I already requested.
You already did, so it's an add-on.
All right then, so is the end of old business, going into new business. BPAAR meeting schedule requested, Mr. Sewell.
Yeah, we have a hearing, a meeting scheduled for March 28th, correct? And my concern is, A, we don't know how many dispositions we need to certify moving forward, but I'm just suggesting to the board, if we have our meeting on Tuesday, March 26th, take a look at your schedules. we can get the dispositions out before the appeals deadline, which is April 1. And I'm just putting this out to the board, to see if there's any discussion, but I would move that we change our meeting. We would have to make it a public.
You'd have to advertise, as long as you advertise it.
We
Do
could
whatever you
do
like.
that easily on the website, right? But my only concern is Joe and Betty Sixpack received their disposition for 2022 and 2023 on April 2nd. And they file an appeal here, and then we're listening to what we've been hearing today is, oh, I missed the deadline for 2024. So if we can get 1,000 or so in on Tuesday, they're mailed out the next day, correct? So they can't.
Borrow a holiday weekend.
Right.
Mail's not flowing.
Right, but there'll be
Yeah.
3-4 days
Not
that they
unreasonable.
could receive it. If we meet on the 28th, which we already have scheduled, they may, many of them may not receive the disposition until April 2nd. That's my concern.
That makes sense. I'm just struggling with if the 1 or 2 days is gonna, so they get it on Friday or Saturday, they're gonna look at it, and it's April 1st is, what day is April 1st?
Monday. I think it's a Monday because of March 31st.
April 1st is Monday.
Or we could
It's a Monday.
So just,
make an action such that if they've gone out on that date, that we give an extra,
We are not permitted to do that.
can't do that, okay?
We
We are
can't
not
extend the
permitted
deadline.
to extend the deadline. The deadline is set.
I think it's better if we do it, what I'm suggesting, only because we're giving them 2 more days. Rather than saying, they'll say they didn't get it.
if
You know what?
I came and appealed, if I got that thing on the 1st, and I didn't open it, because I don't open them every day, unfortunately. So if I get it on Monday, and I'm so sick, and I don't know what to do, or I'm not computer literate, or I call down, I'm still gonna appeal it and say, I got this thing, here's the postmark, it came on Friday. That's not reasonable to give me a decision, then to cut up under there to just say that they got it.
Well, all I'm saying is, as an authorized rep, if Allegheny County mailed you a birthday card, you would get it 5 days later. It's,
That's probably true.
so, what I'm saying is, we're trying to fit it in, and we're already assuming what they're gonna be telling us. And all I'm saying is, move our meeting back 2 days.
Give
Make
yourselves
it-
the buffer.
Give it a little buffer, that's all. All that other stuff, we're gonna deal with no matter what they do ever. People are gonna be mad, okay, right?
I don't see a problem with doing that. As long as we can meet the burden of the advertisement, I think it's for the benefit of everyone to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you can, it's 24 hours
Let's
to know.
ask the board members individually, is there any problem with your schedule to do this?
If I have the ability to do it virtually, I'll be fine.
You can.
I'll probably be virtual too.
I'll be here. Remember, all we need is a quorum.
So you have a motion. Well, and
I
actually,
move that we change the date to March 26th, 8 AM, room 328, County Office Building.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed?
Good.
You have your change.
You may change it on my calendar.
I just did it.
now just so everyone knows, and this is because I'm not sure how the teams will work, it might be a different link.
Easter's that weekend, it's Good Friday, that Friday, so we're still, I mean, we can still do it, but we're still stuck.
And I said probably, we probably should have made it Tuesday anyway because it's Good Friday.
So it's still
No one
gonna be
even
slow.
think of that. So we did it.
But it might be a different link, so double check. And I'm letting everyone know who might want to.
And that would be on the website too.
Yes,
because
but
we
it
have
might
no-
be not the regular meeting link. It might be a different meeting link because those are scheduled for Thursdays.
Would it be on the, will that link be on the website?
It'll be on the website. But I just wanted to let everyone know that it might not be the Thursday meeting link because I don't know that I could change it and then change it back.
Right?
So we're going to Tuesday, March 26th.
Correct.
Yes.
Same back time, same back schedule.
Save that time, save that
And if
time.
we quorum, it's okay, you know, if one or two people can.
All right, so let me also then remind board members we're going to have a executive session following today's meeting.
Discuss personnel and quasi judicial matters.
Without any objections, we will now adjourn today's meeting, February 29th, 2024, of the Allegheny County Board of Property Assessment.
Feel better.
Appeals and review.
Feeling better?
Thank
I
you
am
for
feeling
attending.
better.
Have a good day.
Thank you all.
For asking.
Thanks, see ya.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll be here.
Really does. Yeah. We're turning.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. Before we start, can I get the sheets?
Doing it right.
Thank you.
Should have done it while I was going along.
Earpiece in and running. Yeah.